Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit. Blessed feast. This is the final Sunday of Women's Month, and it's the final homily given by the ladies. We're focusing on the icons dedicated to the Mother of God, the festal icons. So we've been on a journey from her conception and her birth to her entry into the temple, to her Dormition, and today, the Annunciation. We honor this amazing time in history. So much depends on Mary saying yes to the angel. This is a fulcrum around which our whole lives are based. This is a moment where she goes from being Mary to being the Theotokos. I invite you to take a moment to look carefully at the icon in your hand and let it show you something about this feast that you may not have seen before. I am struck by Mary's posture. Her feet are firmly planted on the ground. She's on a pedestal, which is a sign of exaltation. She's turned away from the angel, saying, "What manner of salutation is this?" She doesn't assume that she is going to be asked to be the person who will carry God's child. It's just an awesome moment. She doesn't seem perturbed by the angel, having been raised in the temple where she was ministered to by angels. She does not seem surprised so much by this appearance, in contrast to most angelic visitations in the Bible, which generally provoke fear, trembling, and often tumbling to the ground. She is concerned by the awesome nature of the message. Can you imagine this moment? The messenger of the Most High saying that you are to bear God's child. What could possibly be more bewildering? In the hymn, "All of creation rejoices in thee," there is a line that says, "Thy womb he made more spacious than the heavens." This idea, this expansion of familiar reality is simply astounding, even for one raised in a state of great purity and singleness of heart, one raised within the temple, offered the daily protections that nourished her great holiness. As we learned from the earlier stories represented by the icons of the birth of the Virgin, by the entry into the temple, there is a braided element of ordinariness and holiness in Mary's life. She is held not so much as other or better, as much as exceptional in her inclination for purity and her single-minded focus on being close to the Lord. She is us in our highest yearnings. I hold that we all long to carry God in our bodies, in our hearts, and she offers a template. We have a taste of this when we partake of the Eucharist. As you can see, the royal doors always have Archangel Gabriel on the left and Mary on the right. He's sending blessing and she's receiving. These doors open onto the altar, to the place that allows us to receive communion and to bring the body of Christ into our bodies. In the icon, she's holding a spindle, and the spinning of the cloth was a very common activity for women in her time. And again, there's that blend of ordinariness and holiness. She's spinning the cloth when she's told that she's going to bear God's child. There's, in some of the Annunciation icons, her gesture is that of humble acceptance, her head slightly bowed, hand facing upward, as she just accepts the message. May it be to me according to your word. Dry. There is a process here from questioning to accepting. One of the great blessings of icons is that we are offered a window into holy happenings here on earth, events that are not static, but encompass a natural human movement from one state to another. And as often as the case of icons, there's one part of the story is told in the foreground, another part is the foreshadowing. So you see the moment when she becomes a Theotokos. And then up here, there's a blade with a cross on it, foretelling the crucifixion and the sword that would pierce her heart. Oh, the other thing is the tradition holds that she was, the color of the cloth here is reflected here. She was getting the thread for the veil of the temple. So that's also indicated here, the renting of the veil of the temple in two at the crucifixion. Seeing both of these things in the icon give us a sense of the weight of what she's taking on. So we are all given moments in which we can say yes to God. I offer this example. My husband and I prayed fervently for many years to have a child. Thank you. Thank you. We stormed heaven with avid prayers, questioned God with angry bewilderment, went on pilgrimages. We grieved. We felt that God didn't find us worthy. I found some consolation in my patron saint, Saint Anna, who also felt the humiliation of not being able to bear a child for many years. We resisted any suggestion about adopting a child. We felt that that was second best, and we wanted first best. We went on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land and made our prayers in many sacred places and felt God's grace touch us very deeply. But we still clung to the fixed notion of having a biological child. Then we visited the shrine dedicated to the Annunciation in Nazareth. The church stands above the place that's known as Mary's Well, where the women of the village would come and gather water every day. And again, this was another one of those ordinary things that she did that had this holiness wrapped into it. Something of a miracle happened while we were there. Normally, when you're visiting the holy spaces, there's so many people there that you're kind of rushed through. Or it's hard to pray with very much concentration because of all that's going on around you. When we were there, the Israeli army shut the shrine down because there was a memorial service for an Arab soldier who had died in the Israeli army. And everyone in our group stayed up and did the memorial service, and Jim and our friend Monica and I kept being pulled magnetically down to the well and to the place of the Annunciation. And we had probably a half an hour there by ourselves, just unheard of. And it was the most remarkable experience I have ever had. It felt like all those years of people coming and praying and dedicating themselves to God and asking questions, all of that was saturated into the stone and radiated back out. We were like spiritual Slovakia. It was truly wonderful. So, after a time of being in there, without even thinking about it, I wrote on a piece of paper a prayer to adopt. And Jim put it under the brass cross that was at the bottom of the stairs where Archangel Gabriel was said to have come down. And we left it at that. Not too long after that, another series of pretty miraculous events happened, and we adopted a child. We got our 1-year-old daughter, who, because of her Arab heritage, helped us come here. So it was one blessing after another blessing after another blessing. We finally said yes. Denise Levertoth expresses this very well in her poem, Annunciation. We know the scene, the room, variously furnished, almost always a lectern, a book, always a tall lily. arrived on solemn grandeur of great wings, the angelic ambassador, standing or hovering, whom she acknowledges, a guest. But we are told of meek obedience. No one mentions courage. What happened to it? Oh, I'm sorry. The engendering spirit did not enter her without consent. God waited. She was free to accept or refuse, choice integral to humanness. Aren't there enunciations of one sort or another in most lives? Some unwillingly undertake great destinies, enact them in sullen pride, uncomprehending. More often, those moments when the road of light and storm opened from darkness in a man or a woman are turned away from, in dread, in a wave of weakness, in despair, and with relief. Ordinary lives continue. God does not smite them. The gates close. The pathway vanishes. She had been a child who played, ate, slept like any other child, but unlike others, wept only for pity, laughed in joy, not triumph. Compassion and intelligence fused in her indivisible. Called to a destiny more momentous than any of all time, she did not quail, only asked a simple, "How can this be?" And gravely, courteously took to heart the angel's reply, perceiving instantly the astounding ministry she was offered: to bear in her womb infinite weight and lightness, to carry in hidden finite inwardness 9 months of eternity, to contain in slender vase of being the sum of power, in narrow flesh the sum of light. Then to bring to birth, push out into air a man-child, needing, like any other, milk and love, but who is God. This is the moment no one speaks of, when she could still refuse. A breath unbreathed, spirit suspended, waiting. She did not cry, "I cannot, I am unworthy," nor, "I have not the strength." She did not submit with gritted teeth, raging coerced. Bravest of all humans, consent illumined her. The room filled with its light, the lily glowed in it. And the iridescent wings. Consent, courage unparalleled, opened her utterly. So much depends on Mary's yes. So much depends on your yes and my yes. So much depends on our yes. May consent illumine us all.